Good evening, everyone. We're here today with Michelle Silverman-Bedell and myself. Maria will join us next time. And we just figured we'd chat about liens today. Exciting topic.
Very exciting. So I'll let you, Leslie, speak about, there are different kinds of liens, and the whole purpose of a lien basically is to protect the creditor against people who owe money on a property, but Leslie can speak about it in more detail.
So really what we're referencing is when a lien is found on a property, it can delay a closing. So the whole point is to kind of know who your creditors are, if there are any judgments out there against you that after a certain period of time they become a lien against the property. So when you go to a closing table, you have to either have the title company hold the funds or try to, or resolve them at the time of closing if you can't, resolve it. So those are your two options. So it's not something that's going to go away. It attaches to the property. There's also mechanics liens. If you don't pay your vendor, they can file a lien, and that can delay a closing.
Correct.
There could be IRS liens, New York State tax liens. On top of it, you can also have a lien from, if you're not paying your property taxes, they also can file a lien against the property.
Right.
Any one of these things can delay a closing significantly, and you have to be prepared to pay that at the time of closing. It's a requirement of a closing.
Right.
And even I had just had one recently with an estate, and there were two creditors from one of the beneficiaries, and we had to actually resolve those right at the time of closing, and it can hold up the whole closing because it's very difficult to get a payoff letter that is going to be suitable for the title company, and that can create undue delay. So you want to be on top of that from the beginning.
For sure. I think also for liens, it really can interfere. It's happened to me with a client where we did not know when we listed the property. When I listed the property for sale, this happened a year ago. It turned out when they did the title search, even though I confirmed that we're able to sell this property because I knew that there had been a history before of other financial issues, apparently one of the ex-partners put a lien on the property, and we did not know it until the buyer's attorney did a title search. Even though the court said that he could sell the property, it prevented him from selling it. So I think and I had to take the house off the market, but I think when you have a lien on a property, it really interferes with the title, right? You can't deliver title or clear title, and it interferes for that person even getting another mortgage if they wanted to, right? And it really can interfere with just the closing and selling the property. You can't sell it. So I think there are different kinds of liens, as Leslie said, but also the other issue with a lien, especially if you haven't paid your property tax, eventually the municipality will foreclose on the property, right?
Absolutely.
And the same with the IRS.
Right. And then there's also, you have mortgages that are also liens. We didn't mention that. The standard mortgages are liens against the property that have to be paid at closing. So those aren't as big a deal. You get a payoff, but
you don't think of it as a lien, right?
But many times what happens is you can have an open line of credit or equity line that you don't even realize is open, and you find out at the 19th hour that you had a mortgage, and you have to track it down, get it closed out.
Or a line of credit, yeah.
And also, many people like back in the day had mortgages, and they would just mail you the SATs. And
satisfaction.
You actually had to file it yourself. So a lot of times, people didn't realize that you actually had to bring it to the county clerk. That doesn't really happen anymore, but back in the day, that's what they did, and sometimes that can delay your closing as well. So.
Well, people never got a satisfaction, probably in the recession in 2008, I remember so many loans had been sold to so many different lenders or people servicing it that people just never got a satisfaction, and the banks were no longer around after 2008 in many cases. At least I know friends of mine who were selling a property and they couldn't sell it until they found out they got a satisfaction of an old mortgage that was, let's say, from 15 years before they were selling that property.
So it's important to keep your documents for things like that, because it could come up. So while you're supposed to only hold your documents for a certain period of time,
Right.
those type of documents you should hold till you sell. After that, you could destroy them, but up until that time, you should hang on to those documents.
Right, any kind of open, I mean, it happened to even me, where it was with a car loan. I wasn't handling the billing. My bills at that time was a number of years ago, and I could not find the satisfaction of a car loan or a car lease. So even a car lease, now I know, you always have to get a satisfaction of everything that you take out, right? Any kind of loan. So I think it's very important, because it really impacts your credit. If you're going to get another mortgage or car loan, you really need to have all of those documents and your satisfactions in order, right?
Absolutely. I actually have a closing that I'm working on right now, and there was a mortgage from 1990.
Wow.
It was a home equity, and they don't even remember having their home equity. So we have to line it up, and sometimes these banks change hands, so you got to
Correct.
figure out where it is now, and reach out to the right lender.
If you can
because
find the
if you can
lender,
find
right.
them, sometimes they're like totally gone, but in most cases you can track it down, and we have a list, and we can figure out which lender has taken over.
Right.
But it's sort of like a hunting, sort of a mystery, and you have to be able to solve it, and it takes a little doing. So it's important to have that list,
Yeah.
to figure out which lenders are no longer, and who's the successor bank.
Right. So I think that this is a good topic. Last week we spoke about foreclosures and buying and selling a distressed property. So this kind of is tied into that. And if anybody would, feel free to call us or email us. I'm Michelle Silverman Bedell, Silverson's Realty,
Leslie Jones.
and attorney, and a good one. Who we know each other for a long, long time. Feel free to call. If not, we look forward to seeing you on an Instagram next week. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the beautiful weather.
Bye-bye. Really.